Hi, it's great to be with you again, and we're praying God's blessing upon you in these days. I've sat here pretty much a fair chunk of this afternoon and just working out exactly what God wanted to say to you. I'd prepared something and I sat here looking over it, and it just didn't feel right. It didn't feel like what God wanted to speak to you. And so it's been a bit of a struggle here today, getting this devotion together. And I spoke to God about it, and He's led me to Psalm 27, and I just want to have a look at a couple of verses there. Starting with verse 1, it says this: "The Lord is the light of my salvation, whom shall I fear? The Lord is the strength of my life, of whom shall I be afraid?" The reality is, for a lot of people, is we deal in fear. We get afraid. We're at the moment, there's a lot of people who are afraid about what's happening tomorrow, what's happening today. A good friend of ours has just passed away in Western Australia, and my understanding is that she loved God, but she had this fear in her heart about COVID-19. She didn't die of COVID-19, but she was fearful of getting it and dying. And fear grips us. It paralyzes us. It destroys us. And I know for maybe a lot of you who are watching, fear is a very real thing for you today. It doesn't have to be. It is a weapon of Satan, fear. It is a massive weapon of Satan. He keeps on shooting these fiery darts of fear at us. And the imagery that comes to my mind at the moment is in Ephesians chapter 6, and Paul says, "Take up the shield of faith, which quenches the fiery darts of the evil one." And this is what we've got to do. What is our faith? Our faith is in Jesus Christ. Our faith is that He is more than able to shield us and protect us from the fiery darts. Fear has no place in our lives. It is a weapon of Satan, and I think too often what we do is we give too much. We give any power we give Satan is too much, but we give this power to Satan. He doesn't have power and authority over us, but we give it to him, and he revels in it, and he causes us to have confusion and chaos in our lives, and that which causes fear. But that's not the life of a believer. David writes, "The Lord is my light and my salvation." What do I have to fear? God is with me. God is for me. I don't have nothing to fear. "The Lord is the strength of my life. Whom shall I be afraid?" I've got no one to fear. He is the strength of my life. I rely on Him. I depend on Him. He is everything to me. Verse 2 says, "When the wicked come against me to eat up my flesh, my enemies and foes, they stumble and fell." God trips up my enemies. God trips up those fears, that chaos, that confusion. God, if we trust in Him, if we put our whole hope in Him, then God will cause these things to trip up and fall. Verse 3, "Though an army may encamp against me, my heart shall not fear. Though war may rise against me, in this I will be confident." And look at verse 4. I think verse 4 is critical in this whole thing. He says, "One thing I have desired of the Lord, that I will seek, that I may dwell in the house of the Lord all the days of my life, to behold the beauty of the Lord and to inquire in His temple." In other words, David is saying, the one thing I want, the one thing that can conquer all these fears, the one thing that can conquer all my enemies, is to be present with God, to be present with Jesus. You know what? This is the thing that Satan wants to do. He wants to come between you and Jesus, the abiding of Jesus and you together. He wants to get in between, and he wants to separate you from Jesus. He doesn't want you to talk to Jesus. He doesn't want you to interact with Jesus. Why? Because he knows that Jesus has all authority, and if Jesus speaks, he has to obey. A lot of us are in fear, a lot of us in chaos and confusion, but all we have to do is turn to Jesus, because all authority is being given to Jesus. All authority. There's no, He has everything. Satan has to obey him. And the word teaches us that every knee will bow to Jesus. And so we've got to get into the presence of Jesus. We've got to stop giving Satan power in our lives and get together with Jesus and say, you have all authority, power, Jesus. Don't allow the evil one to have anything in your life anymore. Look what the last verse in this chapter says. It says this, wait on the Lord, be of good courage, and he will strengthen your heart. Wait, I say, on the Lord. Are you waiting on the Lord? Do you want him to be supreme in your life? This is what it takes to defeat the enemy of our soul, to have Jesus supreme in everything in our life. Jesus at the center of it all. Make it so today. Bless you heaps. Have a good night.